Right. For our topic today, we are going to talk about substituting into an expression. Okay, I have laid out some few examples for you to try out. But before we begin, let's try to understand what's the difference between an expression and an equation. Okay, now let's just use this. Okay, this one for now for an example. So if I were to write in this form over here, that's gonna be 25 minus 2w squared. This over here, it's an expression, all right? But how can I change this into an equation? Very simple. I can write the same thing. Okay, I will write the same thing and I will add the equal sign, and this has to equals to something, all right? And this has to be equals to something, and maybe for this case it will be equals to 0, all right? Just for an example's sake, all right? So an expression and an equation over here, the difference is this one do not have an equal sign, and this one they will have an equal sign, okay? So that's about it, huh? Now, over here, I have some questions for you. Work out the value of each expression. So these are all the expression over here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be substituting all these unknown inside here to solve, to work out what is this expression. So let's do it now, okay? So what I have here is 25 minus 2. I'm copying down whatever is it. W, that's gonna be 5, and that's gonna be 5 square. All right, so there you have it. I have substituted the value of W into the expression, and this is how it looks like. Okay, now by taking a look at this, what should I do now? Okay, now before you solve this, you have to remember, you have to always solve this by following BODMAS, all right? By following BODMAS, okay? So BODMAS again, BODMAS. Okay, we have to follow solving by following BODMAS. So according to here, what are the operation we see? Right, the operation I see over here are subtraction. I have a multiplication hidden here, and I have power, right? So by following BODMAS, you know that you will need to solve the power first. So eventually you should get something like this. 5 squared, that's gonna give me 25, right? So what is the operation I have now? I have subtraction and I have multiplication. So I know I'm gonna have 25, multiplication will come first, minus I will just follow, and this will give me 50, right? Okay, so finally 25 minus 50, my final answer, it will give me negative, that will give me negative 25. Okay, now next thing over here, yeah. Now let's continue on the next question first, okay? Now next question, I have more unknowns over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to substitute them in over here, all right? So I have my W, that's going to be my 5. So I'm going to put that in, all right? Now if you notice here, when I'm substituting the numbers into the unknown, I always put a bracket. Now putting a bracket, it's always the safest way, all right, to prevent you from making any sort of careless mistakes. So you see how useful is that in a while, okay? Now plus over here, I will put a plus here. Z, that's gonna be my negative 1. So I'm gonna put another bracket, that's a negative 1 over here. And over here, I have a bigger bracket, okay? And I have 2, X, that's my 2, minus Y, that's my negative 8, okay? close back the bracket. Okay. Now, you see, if you compare this expression and this expression, this has more things over here, right? Now, my suggestion for everyone to prevent yourself from making any sort of careless mistake, I would suggest after you substitute everything, double check your substitution. Make sure you input all the correct numbers, all right? And make sure you write down the expression correctly. And once you're done with that, then you will proceed to your calculation, okay? Now, having looked at this, all right, this for some of you might look messy, all right? This might look quite messy for you all right? In fact, some of you, when you look at this, the first thing that you might solve is this first, all right? You might take 5 plus minus 1, that's gonna give me 4. Now, if this is your first step, you are wrong already. Why is that so? Because take a look back at this equation. This is basically W plus this whole thing, all right? So let me highlight. I'm going to use a blue pen. This is actually W plus this whole thing over here, all right? This whole thing over here. So we have to solve everything accordingly before we add them together. So for this part, you can't add first. You have to follow the rule of BODMAS, okay? You need to solve whatever is in the bracket first, right? And then you can multiply them in, okay? Or I will just show in brackets like this, so it is much more clearer for everyone. Huh? So let's do this now. 5 that's my 5, all right? Nothing changed there. Plus negative 1 here, all right? I'm just going to rewrite this because I'm not going to change it for now. So that's going to be my negative 1. So I will solve everything inside the bracket first. So let's see what can we do for now. So over here, I have 2 times 2, all right? That's going to give me 4. All right. Negative, negative, that's going to give me positive 8. Right? That's going to give me positive 8. I'm going to put back my bracket so you know which one I'm doing right now. Okay? Now let's continue to solve this. 5 is going to be, 5 plus 4 plus 8, that's going to give me 12. 12 times negative 1, that's going to give me negative 12. Okay? So finally, 5 minus 12, all right, plus minus, that's going to give me minus. So 5 minus 12 will give me negative 7. All right, I'm done with this already. Okay, so remember, when you are doing all this kind of question, please, follow the rule of BODMAS. Okay, that will really save you. All right, or you can add brackets like how I show you here. So this will help you to make your calculation easier and you can prevent all sorts of careless mistake. Now, let's go with the next question here. 3z to the power of 4, right? So let's see. So I have 3z, so my 3, this is my 3. Okay, I have my 3. My z, that's negative 1. And I have to raise to the power of 4 minus another z, that's negative 1. And I raise it to the power of 7. Okay? Alright. Now let's solve this now. Alright, let's solve this now. Okay? So again, what I would like to do, you all know that you have to follow the rule of BODMAS, okay? But what I would like to do is I want to add another bracket here, alright? So I don't confuse myself which one I have to do first, okay? So let's solve this parts by part. Let's solve this one first, okay? Now, according to BODMAS, what should I do, alright? Since I have a bracket here, so which means I should multiply first, alright? So if I multiply this, 3 times negative 1, I have negative 3. Alright? So negative 3, I raise it to the power of 4. And that should give me 81. Alright? So over here, what I have, I will get 81 minus Negative 1, I raise it to the power of 7. You can just quickly punch that out in your calculator. So that should give you negative 1 as well. Alright, then we can quickly just solve this. So 81 minus minus becomes plus 1. So that will give me my final answer as 82. Alright, so that's how we solve all these questions. Now also a bonus tips for you here, alright? Especially we are dealing with negative power, a negative number, and we will want to raise it to a certain power. Now I have a cheat code over here. If you have a negative number, alright, a negative number, let's just say negative 1 in this case, a negative number, and you take that number, okay, if you have a negative number, you take that number, you raise it to the power of an even number, 2, 4, 6, 8 and whatnot, alright? You will always get a positive answer, alright? So usually most of the students, they will be dealing with negative number and they square it. So remember, when you square a negative number, you will always get a positive number. Okay? Now same thing over here. If I have a negative number, let's just say negative 1 in this case, and I take it to the power of an odd number, that will always give me a negative answer. Okay? So over here, so why am I showing you all these things? So that next time, maybe when you are doing this, you actually already know. Alright? So what's going to happen here? I have a negative number, I raise it to an odd number, that will give me a negative answer, right? So same thing over here, I have a negative number, I raise it to an even number, my answer is always going to be a positive, right? If you're able to remember this pattern, this will able to help you in the long run. Okay?